and wintry there too.
Good and wintry.
Uh-huh.
Dave, I'm trying a different port for the headphones. Maybe that'll do it. Try that port.
Sounds wonderful.
We cross our fingers and hope for the best with technology, don't we?
Absolutely. Such is our lives.
Such is our lives. But you can hear me okay? Well, I'm not going to be a huge problem for you here.
No, I think you're going to be good. So sounds good to me. Perfect.
I like the title, Hub Event.
So hopefully they all get this, and we're going to send them out an email if they missed it. But thanks to everybody for being here that is live and in person. All right. Well, I promised we'd get started at 5 after, and we all have busy holiday schedules, so we may as well get started. Hi, everyone. I am Dave Meyer, and I am the host of the Fractional Leadership HubSpot user group. HubSpot user groups are super fun gatherings of people that use HubSpot. Now, this isn't a HubSpot ad. We're going to talk about how we use HubSpot with our fractional friends today to help give them some additional, or to help give you some additional leverage and horsepower as you're working with your clients and you're, doing your own business development. But this is here for you as a HubSpot user. So no ads, no craziness. This is just networking and learning and getting to know each other. So as you do, please make sure to keep registered or keep subscribed to the HubSpot user group in the Fractional Leadership group. And can't wait to do a whole bunch of really cool stuff in the coming year. We're really kicking things off now. We had a couple of co-events that we did this year, and this is our first big solo event as Fractional Leadership. So get ready for much, much more. Might be wondering who the heck we are. I am Dave Meyer. I'm the president of BizzyWeb, and BizzyWeb is a HubSpot partner, and we have 4 HubSpot certified trainers. We take HubSpot very seriously, and we really love working in the community. And we also do a whole bunch of things with fractional executives, including, and probably most importantly for this group, fractional tactical. And so if you need help as a CMO, CRO, or revenue-facing fractional, we'd love to help you or talk to you about making your job easier by doing some of that skunk work that you don't necessarily want to do yourself or that you need to find a trusted partner for. In my path, I have found one of my best pals, John Arms, to help us and to help me along that path. He is the founder of Voyager U. He has his own fractional business, and he is the self-proclaimed, not even self-proclaimed, I think he's the widely known Mayor of Frak. So if you've heard of fractional, the chances are good that the reason you've heard of fractional is because of some of the work that John has been doing. So John, welcome, and thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. Definitely not self-proclaimed. That title was bestowed upon me last year, much to my resistance, as I was leading the Frak conference and keynoting and doing all the things. And someone on the team came up and said, "You're kind of like the mayor of fractional," and it stuck. So I guess we have to own our nicknames, but not necessarily create them. But I'm very proud to be here and very happy to be here. And hopefully I can help you on your fractional journey.
Absolutely. Just as a programming note, we are going to be taking questions and requests all during today's event. So feel free to enter anything that you would like in the chat. We had a few more folks join up since we started and made the last request, but go ahead and tell us where you're watching from. And especially if you do have questions, go ahead and log those in, because this is your time. If you have questions or issues about your world as a fractional leader and how to use HubSpot as part of that, or just sharing and commiserating, we'd love to hear from you. We're going to go through 3 big things today, and John's going to help me with the first 2, and then I'm going to pitch in on the last one. We're going to talk about client management, So how to keep your clients happy while you're managing multiple engagements, the true juggling act of the fractional leader. Business development, how to grow your business without burning out. Keeping 4 or 5 fractional engagements is about all one person can handle, but when you get real busy, it's hard to keep doing that on your own or to set up a system to keep those deals coming in, because part of the job of fractionals is to come in and come out of those businesses as needed. And then, of course, HubSpot integration, how to use HubSpot to do a lot of the things that John's going to talk about. So Kiki, hello from Mexico. Thank you so much. We're international now. This is amazing.
And I want to be in Mexico. I wish I was in Mexico.
Me too. For the folks that just joined, we're in, John and I are in Minneapolis, and it just snowed for the first time this year. So we're dealing with about 7 inches of snow here, and everybody forgot how to drive in the snow, which is dumb for me. So John, get us started. Tell me about client management and how you can really use the life of a fractional exec to grow and to work with clients on a better level.
Yeah. And if you can actually bounce forward to the next one with the bullet points, there's a couple things in here that in our teaching and coaching, there's 3 things I want to talk about today that are going to help you with client management. The first is what we call magic bookends. So when you have 3 or 4, when you have one client, it's not so hard, right? You're in there day to day and all that's happening. But even so, you want to be structured and organized about what you've got going on. So we call it the magic bookends. And what that essentially means is, as a fractional, you already know you're with leadership, and that's part of your life, and then you're with the team, and that's another part of your life. The magic bookends is a model where you're going to go with the team, let's say on a Monday, half-hour meeting, Zoom, and let's say you're a fractional CTO, and you're coming in, and yep, I got to work with the team, I got to give them leadership guidance, ideas. That's what fractional leaders do. And so there's that. And then the other bookend is with leadership, because you have a responsibility with leadership to help them understand where your role is helping the business move forward. And the magic bookends is a great way to organize yourself, and that just organize your clients around that early week with the team, later week with the leadership. It works, chef kiss. It works absolutely perfectly. And so this is one of the ways to manage clients in a disciplined way. Of course, another way to manage clients and be very, very clear about the expectations, about really what you're there to do, and all of the things have to be clear from the get-go when you're engaged. So the best way to manage a client is to be hyper clear on what you're there for. So we coach having retainer contracts. If you're fractional, you're a leader. By virtue of being fractional, you're a leader. Your contract must say so. You are going to be there to solve problems, lead issues, all the good leadership things. It's the very first thing your contract has to talk about. We have templates for this. We train around it, but put your head in the place where I'm not there to be an employee. They have those. And quite honestly, there's really not much relief to a leader if you're just another employee. It's added. So I often use this visual. I'm like, here's the leader that says I need your help, and then here's everybody else. But there's this relationship up and down. Fractionals are here. We come in at a 45-degree angle? I'm going to call it a 45-degree angle. We come in at an angle, and we're an ally. So we could help the leaders move the business forward. So your contract has to say as much. Don't worry so much about scope and hours and that sort of thing. Your first thing is to really establish what you're there to do and what you're there to solve. Some market data, some market information. The average contract right now for a fractional per client on a retainer basis is about $7,000 a month. If you're on the coast, it's going to be close to double that. If you're in, Alabama, in a small town, it'll be less. Just different markets have different rates. But that's if you're doing math, that's a good place to start. So oftentimes I'll get asked, what does that mean in terms of hours? We still have a layover of hours, scope. And we've learned that for the last 50 years. So that continues to sort of occupy our minds. So yes, you can say I'm $250 an hour. That's easy enough to say. That's fine. But it's best to think about yourself as there to lead, and you're leaning on your wisdom, not so much your hours. You will be solving things that are not hours based at all. So that is where your contract needs to go. And I'm going to close up with your fractional day. We actually have not a pretend, a template of what an Excel spreadsheet of what the fractional day should look like. The general idea is this. Each client is going to take about an hour per day, something like that. 2 maybe, but you're in the leadership stuff. You're not, there's no waste here. You're not in 8 hours of meetings. In your fractional day, inside of a fractional week, you're going to want to be serving your clients. You're going to want to take care of yourself. Because when you take care of yourself, your health, your relationships, your mind, you're so much better at what you do. You're so much better at delivering for your client, and they appreciate it so much more. So your fractional day has to include client work and has to include self work. It can include a little bit of biz dev. Fractional takes a little bit of operations attention, but you have to build the health, mental and physical into the day. You become a better you, your clients get a better person delivering solutions for them. So those are a few ideas on client management. And I'm not watching chat. You can tell me if there's anything I need to answer to in there, Dave.
Nothing yet on the client chat side, but I did have something that I know one of my fractional friends or one of our fractional clients asked us just yesterday. And she was asking about how do you properly set your rate and worth, especially on those retainer contracts. Most of the world, at least in the consultant world, the temptation is always there to draw a direct line to hourly. And it always draws my mind to, okay, well, if you bring in a special consultant and that consultant comes in and they tap on that nut on that machine in just the right way and they're in and out inside of 5 minutes, but you charge them $10,000, is the temptation is to say, well, you're not charging me $10,000 an hour, are you? It's like, no, I'm charging you $10,000 for the 10 million hours that it took me to know exactly where to hit that bolt in order to make it work, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
how do you set that up, John, to really set your worth and to get your clients on retainers that feel good on both sides?
So let's start with the math on that. Let's say each client is going to be an hour a day of your best thinking. That's 5 hours a week. Okay. And you're at $250 an hour. That's a good fractional leader rate. So you do the math. What is the math? $7,000 a month, something like that. I'm not the math guy, but that, so it's 5, 10, 15, it's 20 hours a week. Let's say you take Friday off, you don't work on Fridays. You do your math and the math makes sense to you. Like, I'm going to commit this time. I'm going to commit this time to my client. And it starts to add up pretty quick, right? But what a seasoned trained fractional will typically say is, it's not the minute or the hour. It's the 30 years plus. It's the 20 years plus. It's the 15 years. It's all the experience that I bring to be able to solve this quickly. But you never wanted to get into a discussion about hours. Quite frankly, if you're in a discussion about hours and minutes, you're having the wrong discussion with the wrong person. You're not focused on the outcome. You're not focused on the mission. You're focused on task. And that's not the fractional relationship. The leader doesn't want the hours anymore either. That's really important to know. Middle people kind of talk about those things, but they're looking for pain relief. That's their number one concern. I'm carrying the water for sales. I don't want to carry the water anymore. You're a fractional salesperson. You come in here and tell us what to do, right? Solve the pain, help us move forward. They're not overoccupied with hours. The occupation with hours is generally a corporate layover. Is large companies, those are just things that we adopted in massive companies. It's how they have to manage. But listen, you're going to be serving the $10 million retail thing, the $50 million manufacturing company, the $80 million SaaS thing. Those are your clients. So they want solutions and they want leadership. They're not going to overoccupy with hours. But you have to be having the right conversation. And going back to the bullet point, your contract has to reflect not the tasks you're going to do, not the hours you're going to spend, but the value you are going to bring. And we have a foot and two canoes on that right now, Dave. We're leaving this world of, as everybody who's probably on the call knows, contracts are nothing but pain, or hours and all that scope discussion is nothing but pain. Nobody loves it. Nobody likes to do it, and yet it still hangs around, right? It's falling. Better models are coming in. Fractionals one, retainers one, and but we still are stuck with some of that legacy stuff. Chattel. I'll call it chattel.
There's a
I don't know
word
what
you
that
don't
word
hear.
is.
I love
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Okay, so I feel like we're kind of tipping into our next point, which of course is business development. So as
Mhm.
we're growing and as we're servicing clients, I think, to keep the analogy of one foot in two canoes, the second canoe is, of course, that you need to keep feeding yourself. So how do
Mhm.
you grow and keep that going and probably balance so that you don't go absolutely crazy with biz dev and all of a sudden you have 9 clients, which is completely undoable if you're doing 20 hours a week.
Mhm. Yeah. So on this one, I'm going to take for this part, I kind of want to take you guys through a little bit of a journey here, and talk about really how this works in fractional. All right. And so I'm going to start with where that seed begins to take root, that new business opportunity. Where does that start in the fractional world? Where does that spark begin? And where that spark begins is there's a leader in a business trying to solve something and they can't get it done. It might be ops, it might be finance, it might be sales, it might be product dev, but that's where it begins. That's where the seed first germinates. You don't even know this company. You don't even know them. You're not aware of it. But this thing right here, this seed happens millions of times every day in America and Mexico and other places. People, I mean, the nature of business is constant growth, constant problem solving. And which means you're always trying to solve things. And then what happens as it starts to bloom, that leader's like, I can't figure this out myself. I have no idea what to do. So then they gather some people around them. Hey, Dave, how do we do this? I don't know how to do this. Dave says, I don't either. What happens then is Dave goes to his network. But I know some people who do.
Right.
I know some people who do. And this is the intersection of you and that opportunity. Now, this is where it matters a lot. And please, please, please do not take this to mean you have to go network like crazy. That's not what that means. What this means is you have to network well. And I always say, know thyself. It does not begin. Your opportunity does not mean go network and press 1 million people and sell yourself. The number one thing when that Dave is going to bring somebody forward, the number one thing that's going to help him remember your name is if he likes you. It's not your pitch. It's not even what you do. Did Dave like Jackie in networking? What you did on LinkedIn, on email? Does Dave like you? That's the first gate you have to cross. And don't work against yourself on that. Most people go to networking and they can't wait to talk about themselves, and they can't wait to tell you what you do. You have to put good vibes out there. This is something every human being can do. We're inclined to do it, right? But this is where really you have to go to the know thyself place, right? Because if I'm going to have a relationship with Dave as a referral source, that relationship has to be based on Dave likes me and I like Dave. Yes, we understand what each other do. And you have something that you love to do. I call it your inner nerd, or going with the image you're looking at here, the inner guru. There's something one or two things we're all absolute nerds about. That is your ikigai. That is your inner guru. You have to spend time developing that and working on it. And so what happens, and this is where the toadstool effect comes in, as that problem is happening in the universe, working its way to you, you're working yourself towards that problem by knowing yourself, by networking well, by really understanding your core, like that inner nerd, and getting out there with that in networking places like LinkedIn and human places. On LinkedIn, you speak about these things, you write about these things, you talk about the things that reflect your inner nerd. In 6 years of teaching fractionals how to do this, that is the hardest thing. And that is the thing people tend to run past, because you are not your resume, you're not your job, you're not your title. Those aren't you. That's not your inner nerd. You have to go deeper than that. So our class for that that's a full 2 hours just to get there, because it's time. But once you get there, that opportunity that's out there, and then they begin to connect, and that'll the toadstool effect. As that problem is working its way to you, you're working your way to that problem in the appropriate way. So, any ideas about talking about yourself, pitch, all of that. Don't waste your time. Work on yourself. Work on yourself. There is a process. There is a protocol. There are systems in place. HubSpot is a fantastic one. Why would you even venture to use HubSpot if you didn't know yourself, right? It makes you incredibly strong as you start to use these tools around us, LinkedIn included. But you have to do that work. Please don't be one of the people that is passive about it. It doesn't help. It doesn't help you. And there's so much opportunity. Like I said, there's millions of those problems trying to get solved every single day. Every single day. So that's the biz dev coaching I'm doing today.
Yeah. Well, John, and you mentioned LinkedIn, and if anyone's not connected with John, just search him up on LinkedIn, because you are one of the more masterful folks that I know in sharing on LinkedIn without it being overbearing or too self-serving. So there's definitely an art there to that. Can you share just a little bit about, like, as a fractional executive, and I know you've got you've got your stakes in a few places. You're not only a fractional, but you're also an evangelist of the entire movement. But how do you balance that, and how do you do it so that, or do LinkedIn and social media so that it doesn't feel like you're just either constantly begging, people for jobs, or to have some level of interest and information so that you do appear top of mind when that slot does come available?
Yeah, it's a matter of understanding my inner nerd and constantly working on it. I'm an absolute nerd about marketing. I grew up with it. I'm a nerd. I just love it, right? It's me. I'm a writer, all of those aspects. I'm a nerd about it. So I write about it. I talk about it. I share stuff about it. I'm a nerd about fractional. I am passionate about it. Now, you might ask why. Why do I care so much about fractional? When fractional takes place, when people move into a fractional place, a few things happen. The number one thing is self-sovereignty. All of that agency and control that you used to give to the company when you were a full-timer is now in your own hands. That is one of the most beautiful things that can happen when you have your agency back, when you get to take back your life, when you have control over that. And so no wonder I'm passionate about it. No wonder I care. Those are wonderful things. That's good for society. That's good for you. That's good for me. That's good for clients. Those are two things I'm a nerd about, and I'm constantly working on them. I'm reading about them and all that. And then all I do is I go to LinkedIn and I express that curiosity and I share. I'll put a lot out there, and none of it is anything more than learn more about fractional. This is good for you. And all of you have the same. Whatever your nerd is. If it's sales, you have a nerd about that. If it's ops, you have a nerd about that. Share that with the world. The universe has to see you in the most authentic version that you are. So that's how I do it, and that's how I recommend everybody else does it.
Excellent. Yeah, we do have a couple of questions, John. So Shabazz asks, what's a great question someone can ask during live networking that will help them become more memorable?
A question to ask somebody else?
Yeah.
Sure.
So.
Yeah. Ask them what lights you up. What lights you up?
Instead of what do you do?
Not what you do. What lights you up? What you do is not fun. What lights you up? And let it go. Let it happen, right? Let it happen. It will come back to talking about what lights you up. But what lights you up? That's one of the best questions you can ask.
Love it. That's great. And Shabazz, if you have any follow-ups on that, feel free. Trigby also asks, how do you structure your daily schedule to get all this biz dev and client work done?
So yeah, we're pretty deliberate about how we structure that at Voyager. Like I said, we've got a calendar that say just use this, right? Don't reinvent the wheel. It works pretty good. If you have 3 clients, 3 hours a day, 1 hour each on those clients. In a week, spend about an hour on biz dev. Inside of a week, sometime on that day, spend about an hour on your operations of your business, right? So those are pretty good balance. That's kind of all that's needed. You got to remember, you're only looking for 3 or 4 clients.
Sure.
You're not trying to, have 100 of them in a year. And fractional engagements are long-term. They last forever. I mean, this is permanent part-time. And so you don't have to be out there constantly trying to feed the next project because you're permanent part-time.
Excellent. Okay, so I got that. And what I'd like to do now, since this is a HubSpot user group, is share a little bit about how some of our clients and some of our friends are using HubSpot in the fractional world to actually grow their businesses. So as I look at how to use HubSpot as a fractional executive, there are really three things that I like to underscore and make sure that my fractional friends have a good solid handle on. And I'm going to do some screen sharing on these. So you need to have good handles on your contacts and your CRM. And we'll talk a little bit about the ethos behind how do you manage all of that, and the fact that spreadsheets and or just running out of Outlook isn't enough. We'll talk about sales and managing those deals. And again, this is different, especially for a fractional looking to build their own business versus if you're in a fractional CRO or CMO role and you're doing like hardcore real lead gen for a hungry, growing organization, right? So I'll balance a little bit on the duality of that. And then self-promotion and marketing. So how to do that, how to use the systems. I'm going to keep most of these at HubSpot's least expensive level, because as a solo fractional, you probably don't need HubSpot's pro marketing software and all of the automation that goes into that. Although, frankly, if you value your time as much as you should, it might make sense to dig in and do a pro level of HubSpot, because it's a whole lot cheaper than hiring a marketing assistant, which would be the only other way to make that happen if you were to go dollar for dollar against having a self-contained system. So let's go through these in turn. And again, I'm watching and I'm keeping an eye on the questions. If something that I'm sharing on screen pops something for any of our attendees, please feel free to hit in and ask me those questions. So first, this is a quick little plug. This is Voyager U. John mentioned his business, and the getting out of the word in fractional is where John does that. So it's My JP Arms is his solo, if you want to see what he does to drive business for himself. But there's all kinds of great stuff that you can learn and do and see inside of Voyager-university.com. So make sure to check that out. And I've got links.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you.
Of course. And then BizzyWeb, of course, I mentioned that we serve fractionals. So if you go to fractionaltactical.com, this is an overview of everything that we can do. So please check that out if you're interested, curious, or if you want to see how you could interact and integrate with a dedicated community like this, because I'd like to think, and behind the scenes, John is actually helping us with this as a fractional CMO. And so he's guiding us on some of this stuff as well. But I think we're doing an okay job. So if you want to check this out as far as getting the word out, this might be an easy template for you to use in your business to directly connect with your intended audience. So without further ado, I promised that we'd talk about contacts and CRM. And the biggest thing to understand inside of using HubSpot as a CRM, of course, is to use it. The things that you can do inside of HubSpot, if you have Microsoft or if you have Google, all you need to do is connect HubSpot to those systems, and it takes about 5 minutes. There's easy content that you can use or easy guides that you can use as you get started. There's actually a fantastic wizard that walks you through all the setups that you need. If you use like GoDaddy's email service or some other bespoke email that isn't connected to one of those big two, Microsoft and Google, it's going to be trickier. But I love, and I'm a big fan of Google. I've been a speaker and trainer for Google for years. And so I'm a Google guy, but Microsoft is just as easy. You connect these up, and any email that you send to anyone on the system gets logged and they become a contact. This is BizzyWeb's HubSpot demo account, so these aren't actually real people. Well, technically, I think there is someone. I don't know what Harris LLC is, and I can't pronounce that exact name in South Korea, but I'm pretty sure that is an actual business. But again, this is just dummy data that's loaded into our demo account so that we can show what contacts look like. So if I wanted to see what Kraus and Sons does, I can simply go through and I can see Corey, Tracy, Amy are all in that system, and I can see every interaction I've had with them. I can see what they're subscribed to. If you have the pro level software and you're building that up, you can see what payments or orders or activity is in there. And the big shocking secret behind this, if you have your systems connected, most of this data is automatically populated. So you're not going into some onerous system and logging every interaction. It's like, well, today, dear diary, I logged in and I had a connection with Mary Smith, and Mary was doing, you don't have to do any of that stuff. I make calls, my calls are tracked and recorded and placed in the CRM. I don't do a lick of work on that. All I have to do is enjoy the benefits of my labor. I have,
Dave, can I ask a question about that?
please.
I have found when I use it too, it always seems to me that HubSpot is kind of behind the scenes working. Sometimes when I enter some information about a new prospect, for example, all of a sudden there's more information in there that I entered. It went to the internet and grabbed some stuff. Is that
Yep.
built in? Okay.
That is
I've
built
always
in.
thought
There's
that.
actually, like, I can just go in here and I can search in Google. There's a little AI bug inside of here where I can hit summarize, and it'll actually use HubSpot's AI called Breeze and Copilot to get data and information. You can pay to get more information on those people, but HubSpot actually takes things like Kraus and Sons. This logo, I did not load that logo up. It went out to the internet, found the Kraus and Sons demospot.org, right? It's demo info. It found that logo, it loaded it up so that I have that. It finds information, and I can search in Google for free inside of here and get all the information that I need about that person. So data enrichment is that watchword. And Breeze is just getting started on the HubSpot AI side with finding really helpful information. If you use things like ZoomInfo or Apollo, there's all kinds of alternative tools that do that kind of information, but this one's just built right in. So there are systems to help you get that information. It's all about lowering the weight of the lift, right? Yep. Yep. Breeze is HubSpot's AI tool. Mhm. Yep. Right. Yeah. Mhm. Right.
To operate at your best at what you do and let the tactical stuff and the mechanical stuff take place on its own as it should,
Absolutely.
with the
And
ballroom full of
again,
Einsteins.
what you're trying to do inside of here is you're trying to manage deals and keep track of all of the interactions that you're having that might turn into business someday. So by default, HubSpot has these deal pipelines or these deal categories. And if I've had a discovery call with the company at test deal, then I'm moving it to exploratory call once we have the deeper dive. And then I can simply drag that deal to the next level using HubSpot's easy access tools. Or if you're a listy kind of person, you can simply click that button and it goes from list view to visual view. But you can have different pipelines. There's a test pipeline, a speaking pipeline. I mentioned before that I'm a speaker and trainer for HubSpot and for Google. So I actually have a separate pipeline that I manage just for my speaking engagements. And you can do that by default inside of HubSpot as well. One nice thing, if you're a big number guy or gal, you can literally just see what all of the open deals are, how much you've got in your pipeline, how long your deals have been around. Again, this is a test account, so we need to go through it and update it because all of our average deals are 600 days old. So they're a couple years old now. But you can see that deal info is super easy, and it helps you keep track of it all in one spot. So whether I'm at Krause & Sons, if I'm editing the website, I can simply go in and edit and change any pages. If you're on a budget as a fractional and just putting your toes in the water, you can get a website that looks just like this for free. So the HubSpot's free level supports a one-page website that has like 4 different templates that you can choose. At the bottom of it, it's going to say HubSpot at the bottom, powered by HubSpot. So you can get access to that, but you can use your own domain for free. So if you were, myjparms.com, you could have your free big one-page website with a blog on it and still take advantage of all of the power of HubSpot without breaking your bank. You get access to marketing content, and you can manage and see where all of your content is going. You can drill into any of these things. This is actually BizzyWeb's real content, so I'm not going to drill down too deeply because I don't really like recording and making things available with any of our actual data. But you can see at the top level, and you can drill down into how many new contacts have I gotten. So you can see how many people you're interacting with, who you're connecting with, and what's going on. You can also review once you get into those pro level software levels. You can review and see, okay, here's all the things that BizzyWeb has scheduled. So today we published a LinkedIn post, a post on X, something on Instagram, something on our company Facebook page, and 2 more. So that would be Trigvy's LinkedIn post and my LinkedIn post. And that looks like it's been a promo for our BizzyWeb podcast, Dial It In. So Lauren Goodell was out, and she's the founder of Zinnia, and we published a podcast about her. So all of this is available. You can drill into all of these. You can change them, edit them. And what gets even funner, when you start automating some of this, you can manage and send emails. So here's a past example of an email that we sent. Super easy to edit and manage anything in HubSpot. So if I wanted to edit this, super easy to create a new email. It's got a nice clear call to action. It gets you everywhere you need to go. And inside of that, all I need to do is click around, and I can see how many people opened it. It was sent to 470, delivered to 465, 40% almost open rate, which is bonkers good. Click rate 7.1, again, very strong. And a reply rate, kind of low. You wouldn't expect an RSVP email to get a lot of replies like, hey, can I bring booze? That's probably the only thing that we had people connect up on. But all of this data is available and easy to get access to. So you can check and you can track and you can actually do marketing like a pro, like a professional, like a real leader in your field, which is what you are. And then inside of that, as I'm building, I can review and look at things like blog posts. Here's an example of a blog post that I just published this week. You have the ability to make a easy and free recording of this. So if people want to listen, if you've got a lot of people in your connections that don't want to read your blog post, but they might want to listen, we're seeing a surprising amount of people that actually listen to these instead of read them. So if you're going through your email in the morning, you visit a blog post, you can just hit play and listen to this over 8 minutes and 59 seconds, right?
That's kind of becoming a norm. I publish a lot on Substack, and I bet you it's a big adoption rate of just listening rather than stopping to read. Cool. It's a good idea. Yeah. And I don't know how you found the picture of the computer I had when I was in college. That's pretty cool.
Right? I think it was off of my desk, John. So inside of all of the HubSpot content, all the way down to free, there is AI enablement inside of here. So you see a little bug pop up when I highlight anything, and then I can refine that content. So if you're maybe not a marketer, or maybe you're tired in the morning and you need to get a blog post out, but you're struggling with getting started, you can just use AI to do that. So I can rewrite this paragraph. I can expand it, shorten it. I can change it to a more friendly, professional, witty, heartfelt, or educational tone. I am not going to change this because this is a published blog and my team would murder me if I changed their stuff after I got it out. But I can also, and here's where kind of a drum roll is getting interesting, you can remix your content. So if I go in here and I go remix, I can do an image out of this. I can send a promotional email. I can send 3 social media posts. I can create an ad inside of this. I can even create another blog post or a podcast if I wanted to recreate that. And then when I click next, it uses AI to take the content of this page, and it could be a landing page, it could be content that you have that you've just loaded up in an email, but it's created a marketing email, social posts, and all I have to do is click into these to edit and change them. And it created an ad. And if I have all of my Google information up here, it'll publish that ad, and I can just throw a couple of dollars at it to make sure that it goes. Kiki asks, how can we manage clients and use the data to get good marketing campaigns? Oh, this is great. So what I like doing inside of this, and I'm
Total Dave question.
Yeah. So as I'm looking at the data inside of here, what I like doing is actually, I'm going to go up. Let me see where I'm at. Campaigns. Boy, this is perfect. I actually have the very next tab was how I was going to share how all of this stuff is tracked. So if I'm looking for good marketing campaigns based on the data, I can go into my reports. There's actually an AI report builder so that I can just go inside of HubSpot, and some of these are available at paid levels. So, caveat emptor, or your mileage may vary, but I can look at for a campaign. So in this case, last year's webinars for BizzyWeb, it impacted or generated almost $7,000 in revenue. It's probably a few small programs that were signed directly out of a webinar, but then associated revenue, $132,000. So people that were considering BizzyWeb wound up attending a webinar, and those 12 contacts that signed up for a webinar that actually did wind up going with us, I can actually see what that's working on. So that's how I use that to get that information. Now, the other things that go in, if I'm back in my blog posts, for example, if I'm looking for data and information on how to reach people better, the data that you see inside of HubSpot's Optimize tab can help you optimize for not only search, but we're also seeing some things inside of AIO, so AI optimizations so that you can get found better inside of AI tools. But it tells us what might be missing. So in this case, it looks like I have missing or blank image alt text, and this image has a blank picture, has a blank alt. So in this case, I think it was right here. So this is, I of course didn't really have one associated with that generated abandoned ship image about WordPress, but theoretically I probably should have. So I can use that data to improve my marketing campaign. And then you can also tie in with Google Analytics information. You can use things like Google's Google Trends tool to figure out where people are actually searching and what is going to generate the most interest with them in order to see all of that. So great question, and thank you for that. As I go through, you can, in the paid versions of HubSpot, like at the pro level and up, you can see this is a pretty beefy workflow that I have. This is choose your own adventure marketing, right? So what's happening here is the tool is interacting with, so I published this blog post, or they filled out a form on one of my landing pages. And based on that, I'm handing it off to a relevant salesperson, or I'm sending them to a related blog post. If they don't respond to things, I have it going back and sending them a follow-up with probably more general information. I can give folks, more content, more clients, or I can deliver or send them additional things based on what they're requesting, and be very, very helpful to them. That's the idea of inbound marketing, right? So they requested a CMS or content marketing ebook. So sends this email. What is HubSpot email? So it goes to this page, and I can see very simply hi there, thanks for downloading the buyer's guide and get my ebook. Actually, I want other information on Hubs right now. And then we've got a few other follow-up information bits there. So very, very simple. This is that AI reporting tool that I mentioned before. So all I need to do is follow any of these examples or just type in what I'm looking to do. So if I want more information on the best webinar I did this year, I can just say, what was my highest performing webinar and who were my most engaged clients, so that I can see what is actually working and then do more of it, right? And again, I'm using live data off of BizzyWeb for this one, so I'm not going to dig into that. But there's a lot of information and data in here on who's doing what they're working in, and what makes the most sense for our clients. That leads us to the final thing, and I'm going to preview this here, but we only have 10 minutes left, so I want to get to more live Q&A and open up the microphones. So we have actually set up a starter playlist inside of HubSpot Academy that is completely free to you to use. And I have a link to that I'm going to tease, but this is what that is. So this is all of the basic information on how to get started, to do all of the things that I demoed and previewed here. And I think it's super helpful. So if you just click Start Playlist, it'll pick all of these up. So let me go back, and here's our wrap up. So for quick reference, I mentioned John's website and showed you the details there. That's at voyageruniversity.com. If you want more information to see how we serve fractional executives and leaders, go to Fractional Tactical. And then bit.ly/FracHub is that fractional HubSpot training. So if you're a fractional executive and leader and you want training on how to use HubSpot for you and your business or for your clients, all you need to do is go to bit.ly/FracHub. And this recording is going to be made available on BizzyWeb's YouTube channel. I'm also going to wrap this up for everyone that's subscribed or that registered for today's event. This is a register exclusive. I'm not going to make this public to anyone else. You came here and you spent your time and attention with us today. So I very much thank you and can't wait to do lots more. The one big question that I have for everyone that I'd love information on before we leave is, what do you want to see in the next year as a fractional HubSpot user? So what are the things that we can answer for you? What kinds of luminaries or experts can we bring on to serve you? Because this is something that I'm dedicated to. I'm a big believer in my life that the more people I help, the more successful I am. So how can we help is the big question that I have for everyone. So fire away. Yeah, thanks, man.
That's very nice. Very nice. Very important indeed.
Omi's here. Hey, Omi. Good to see you. Thanks for joining. What do we have for, I'm super interested. Do we want more how to build fractional businesses info? Do you want to see specific things on reporting? Oh, good. If you're attending for a fractional client, Omi, you're going to get an email with this, and feel free to share that with them. Sweet. I'm going to stop sharing so that we can just do this. And I think people can just join in. Looks like a few folks have dropped off, but that's cool. Jackie, Kiki, Omi, if you have any questions for John. I can also, if you'd prefer, if you'd like, I can stop recording so that this isn't published, and then you can go deeper as well. So just pop up, and if you'd like to ask a question, but you don't want us to record, I'll just stop the recording. So this is your time. What advice would you give to a brand spanking new fractional, John?
Me?
Mm-hmm.
Decide, choose, go all in. It is, we live in a world where people always want to keep all their options open. Mm-hmm. And guess what happens? Nothing.
Right.
Nothing. I could take some fractional work if it comes my way. Well, I'm trying to find a job, in anything in life. You have to decide. You got to choose. You have to commit. You already know this, but you have to do it. And there's a line. There's a difference between those who decide and choose and go after something because they've chosen, quite honestly, making the choice and going after it it frees you up like you wouldn't believe. The worst place is in between two places. And this is what really troubles me as I help people try to become fractional, is that the world sends people out in a place of, not in a place of strength. And the reactionary mode is bad for humanity. So decide, choose, commit, and then